Hello guys, and welcome to Skycurser Daily number 30. Today we're going to cover some very basic things. We're going to be working on level 2. Yes, we're going to be working on the level 2 enemies, getting them to come onto screen right, function in the ways that we want them to. We haven't quite worked out how the helicopter that we were working on yesterday, how it's supposed to work overall, but we may do some small tweaking there. And some things that I want to definitely touch today are to see what we can do to put specifically the weapons, the katana, the Vulcan cannon, and the shotgun into a better script. Right now they're all running directly in a couple of actions related to a couple of events, and I'd like to take those out and get them into scripts so that we can just pass everything, any new enemy through this script and not have to duplicate a lot of code to do that. Right now we've got tons of duplicate code related to the weapons, so probably going to work on that for a little bit, and we'll see where we're at after that and figure out where to go from there. So alright, so we'll just go ahead and hop in here. Let's go ahead, just like we've been doing at the beginning of every stream, we go ahead and start the game, pick it up where we left off, and just see where we're at, see if there was anything else that we wanted to update or fix. I know there's some things that I could fix really quickly before I hop in there, so let me do that really quickly here. Change that to 100. That guy's updated. Get this out of my way. And yeah, let's just play it from there. I see that we got a couple extra followers while we were off stream, so I'm going to update our follower goal here. Pretty awesome. There we go. Looks like we're still loading here based on the compile window. As is normal for the very first stream, for the very first start of the game. Cadrius, nothing new for me, man. Sounds cool, starting to play All Odds Online, huh? I haven't played that yet, so I'm not exactly familiar with it. So I'm pretty sure I would have destroyed it by now if my code was correct. It's looking to me like the code may be a little bit incorrect. So let's go look at the helicopter and the step event and see. Yep, I don't have anything in here to help control it if it's dying. Although that should probably be in the object-based enemy. Script object-based enemy step. Let me see if I can do this through here. Script base enemy die. Here we go. If argument 0.hp is less than or equal to 0, with argument 0, instance destroy. I spelled that wrong. There we go. That should probably do it. I probably don't even have to touch the Heli Wolf, except to do... Ooh, I don't know if I want to do event inherited right here. Let me just see. So that's the only thing we got in that one. Outside room, that we could update that. That would be fine. Enemy collide. Movement. If we run this, we'll definitely be in trouble. Movement and animation. Highly likely something we don't want to modify right now. So, not to worry, we will write the same code in here, except let's just call script base enemy die. Let's pass in self.id and call that at the very bottom. Okay. If dead, destroy object. So we can still use the script, just in a little bit different way. Instead of inheriting from the parent, we just call the script directly, which is perfectly fine. Let's try running this again. Looks like I have some debug messages running right now inside of probably the base controller. I set that up last night. It's got to be in the enemy generator. Guess it's not there. Let's check the base controller. Here's one place that it's showing up. Save, and then let's check the base controller room step, which is calling script room step. And here's where we're counting. Perfect. Thumbs up. It's an old game, huh? All odds, yeah. Okay, I think we're in a good spot there. One thing I wanted to do with my enemies here for level 2 was to package this helicopter up. So, Heli Wolf. Perfect. Okay. And let's verify that it will basically destroy itself. Now, there will be a problem with this. Because what's going to happen is the helicopter is going to die, but the we'll see here that the rider and the propeller will not. There it is. So easy fix. Just got to make sure we destroy them all at the same time. And let's go look at that object. The base object, the step event. Oh, let's look at the die event. And I think we'll try to pass in an optional list of items. So it'll be a DS list of items to destroy. And we'll just basically overload our parameters here. Hey Brad, I'm in. I can answer any questions or provide any direction for the helicopter attack or death. Cool, man. I think I'm good at this instant. Just working through the death and trying to package things up into scripts a little bit better. Have something sort of special planned for the death sequence. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Sounds good, man. I'm going to say if argument, I think I can say argument counter. Argument count is greater than or equal to 1. Var my arg equals argument at the 0. And then if argument count is greater than or equal to 2, var my arg2 equals argument 1. Okay. And we'll say right here is where we'll do the loop through the DS list. Off the top of my head, instead of going and looking this up, I'm just going to pull some code where I know I've also got a DS list and I'm looping through it. I think I have that in the object controller persistent draw event. And I'm going to minimize this, get it out of the way. And here's my loop through a DS list. So here we go, get out of here. And we'll just make sure our variables are set up correctly. Okay. In this case, we will say my arg2 is our list, and we're looking for we'll say at that point we will say with my arg2 all right, and so the DS list size is simply like counting how many items are in the DS list, and so it starts at 0, loops through all the items. I is less than all the items in the DS list, which is basically like an array. If you're familiar with other forms of programming, if you're familiar with something like Ruby, it's kind of like a hash. But I would more compare this to an array than anything else. Not even so much a hash in Ruby. But I would say my arg2 with my arg2 at the I, then instance destroy. I think that would handle it. And we're going to verify this. If argument count is greater than or equal to 2, then argument 1 is there. So this allows us to overload our variables, and so we will say required, and I'll just kind of do this at param. This is my own syntax. It's not anything related to GameMaker. Param required, argument 0, param optional, argument 1, just so that somebody who's coming in and reading can see that. And I think we're good there. Now the last thing we have to do is build a list of items that we want to pass in. We'll do that through here. And we can build the list of items inside the create event. And let's look at our syntax really quick on the create. I know I could go look this up from some other code that I have already, but let's just look it up together. DSList create creates a new list returning its ID. So we create, let's look at DSList altogether. So we have all these options available to us with creating a data storage list is basically what, or sorry, a data structure list. We create it, we can destroy it when we're done with it if we want to get rid of it and save some memory. We can do clear it, empty it, check the size of it, add to it, delete an item from it. Let's look at DSList destroy. Destroys a given list and removes it from memory. And DSList delete deletes the value at a given position. So it does delete one item in the list. DSList find index and value, insert, replace, difference between add and insert, adds the given value or values to the end of the list. Let's see what insert does. Inserts the given value to any position in the list. So you can give it the actual position that you want it to drop in. And okay, cool. So I think normally what I'll do is just use DSList add, and basically you just pass in your ID and then your value. Optional values to be added to the list. You can add multiple values to this list, but the ID is the ID of the list. So let's go back over to GameMaker and let's create our list. This will be attached. Attached equals DSList create. I'm just going to say ATH and call it attached to heli. DSList create, and we just do it like that, and then we can say now DSList add ATH. We gave it the ID that we just used, and then we add whatever values we want to add here. And I think I'm going to use I'm going to just add objects straight into here. Object heli wolf. No, I'm going to add the instances of the objects that I had. So prop is one instance, and I think to keep this a little bit clean, I'm just going to separate these. I know I can keep adding values right there if I want, but just so that somebody can see quickly that I'm adding to the array over and over, which I'm not going to add a lot here, just two items, the prop and the rider right now. Then we have our list that we can pass off to the death script. Okay, so now all we got to do is pass this guy right here into the death script on the step event as the second argument, and say it's probably as simple as just saying ATH, because we're still inside of the object. Now if I was inside of a script in a step event, I would have to say something like argument 0.ATH, because I've basically set this property on the create event for this object. And of course this property contains the list of items we also want to delete. Now if this works, when we destroy the heli, then everything else will get destroyed with it. Otherwise we'll probably have an error that we'll try to figure out and work out together. But that should be pretty much it. That should do it if everything is written correctly. Oh, good, Chris. Thanks for the heads up on this on the mic. Sorry, I'm a little behind on reading that. I know you guys are talking back and forth here. Just trying to glance over periodically. Okay, let's see if we did it here. Let them come all the way on screen. Did it. Boom. Boom. Now, one thing I want to fix is the delay on katana swipe, shotgun, and the bullets. But I don't necessarily want to do that at this instant. I will do that here soon, though. So that was pretty awesome. We basically just added an optional parameter into that die script, and then we the optional parameter was an array of arguments, which means now anytime any object dies, we can just pass it in to there, and anything that's attached to it can also die without us having to specify each item one by one. Let's say you have a big boss and the boss has like 20 different unique objects attached to it. You don't want to necessarily have to specify every single object that you want to die at the same time. Instead, something like this where we just pass in a simple array and everything gets destroyed, boom, you're done. Alright, so we got that done. Now the next thing I wanted to work on, I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, was to get all of our weapons through one script, because if we can put them all through one script, we won't have tons of duplicate code, and right now we have tons of duplicate code for our weapons. So let's try to fix that as soon as we can here. So I'm going to go to Skycurser, because I know that's where the objects are, the weapons are. And we've got 3 weapons that are basically doing all the damage, and we've got the mini blast bullet, the shotgun blast bullet, and we've got the katana right here. So these 3 items are definitely need to go through a script. Now the shotgun blast bullet, if I'm not mistaken, and the Skycurser katana are already going through a script. So let's verify this. Script weapon attack, there it is. So our script for weapon attack is up here. And so we're already passing these objects through here, and if the shotgun blast bullet or the katana blade connects with any of these items, then the items, die the way they need to die, and have some unique things associated with them. But it would be really ideal if we could just pass everything through one script, all 3 weapons, plus passing any specific enemy that we want to check through one script. Even if we have to do a couple of lines where we where we say, script checking for object enemy 1, script enemy collision. And then we pass in object enemy 1 and anything that's unique to object enemy 1 that we need to occur, and then go from there. So let's just put our heads together on this and see if we can figure this one out. First things first, probably the easiest place going to be to start is going to be in the mini blast bullet. So again, this looks very similar to that other file. We basically have the collision check for this enemy. We're again dealing with the Vulcan cannon bullet. Does it connect with enemy 1, which is what we call the eyeball plane, or the floating eyeball enemy 2, the popcorn eyeball enemy 3, the fly enemy 4, the bubble eyeball, the tank carrier, the carrier eyeball, the necro star 1 and 2, the object boss, or the tank drop, the vehicle, or the heli. So these vehicle and heli are things that we added for level 2, but this can get a little bit out of control if we can just keep adding to this list. And yes, each one of these are going to have some unique things, but let's just see what we can do in terms of getting them condensed into one place. So I'm going to start by just taking a look at what we got here, and I'm going to pull it out. So I'm just going to work through this as I go here and make adjustments as we need to when we add more units. So let's say instead of script weapon attack, let's say create script weapon collision, because this will let anything collide with it. Script weapon collision, and then we'll pass in the arguments that we want to pass in for sure right now. Let me think. Do we want to pass in X and Y? We'll probably just pass in the object that we're working with currently, which is self.id, and that will help us figure out which object it is, whether it's the mini blast bullet, the shotgun bullet, or the katana, and what object it is that we're trying to check on. And let me see if there's anything that I would definitely need for this that will be unique to something else. instance create X, Y, final choice. The final choice is just a blood spatter, and there's a sound associated with it. And what we're doing here is checking to see if what the position is that the bullet connects. In this case, Y, which is the bullet's Y position, minus the hit, which is object enemy 1's Y position, less than 0. Now the hit of object enemy 1 at the Y position will be, I don't know, halfway down the sprite of the enemy. So once it gets above a certain point, we kind of mix it up a little bit, and the connection sound that we make whenever a bullet connects is a meet sound, because it's actually hitting the eyeball right on top of the plane. If it hits below the midpoint of the plane, then we do a bullet impact sound. We create the bullet impact, and then we do a bullet impact sound. So I think we have to do something a little unique here, because not all enemies are going to be like this. Let's say, I'm thinking for this first one, the easiest example, let's start with the easiest thing that we can start with, and then add on to the script from there. The easiest one is probably not going to be enemy 1, it's probably going to be enemy 2, because look, a lot here. There's the check to see what the hit points are, or the decrement of hit points here. Turn the flashing on for the guy, and then create a meat splatter at a random position on that guy, and then play a specific sound, and then destroy the instance. So I think all of these might be necessary. We might need to know all of those items. The first one will be the X position for, let's call this X plus random range 10, 20, which is just like the X position down here for where the impact is going to occur. And then the Y position, so it looks like we can just go Y, and then we can go final choice. So we're passing in here. We may not even need to pass in final choice, because we could probably do final choice, which is this guy right here, over in the script. So let's not pass it in if we don't need to. But we do need to know exactly where to generate that final choice instance, and then what sound we're going to play with it. So let's pass in the sound. Sound, explosion, meet, small, when the connection occurs. And then we'll see kind of where that takes us at the moment. We may end up, instead of doing it like this, we may end up just creating a list of items, like a DS list create, just like we did a minute ago. And then just pass that list in. And then over in the script, we could check for several different items, knowing that if a particular item is in place, that it means that we're going to do, this specific thing, or take this specific action if that item is there. But let's start with this for right now, and we'll come back and modify this in a minute if we need to when we add more items to the script weapon collision. I'm going to reduce this here, and we'll just call this weapon collision check, and argument 0 equals object weapon, and argument 2 equals, argument 1 equals object collision. Let's be a little more specific. Object colliding. Object weapon is object with which the weapon is colliding. Argument 2 equals X position of impact. Argument 3 equals, it's not going to be X position of impact, it's more importantly going to be about the X position of the impact effect. Yeah, let's say that. Y position of the impact effect. And then the argument 4 equals the sound. I think that's right. Let's verify that. Yep, the sound of the impact. Yeah, we're going to do the final choice over here, so we can just grab these guys. Let's just grab all these guys right here, copy them, drop them right into the script right at the top, and I'm going to change these to vars instead of choices. Var, I think that's just probably the way they should be rather than the way I have them, like a local variable. Okay. And then from here, let's construct what we had over here. I think what I'll do for starters is just take this and modify it with our arguments that we passed in. So we'll change from hit to hit to from hit 2 to hit. X and Y will be argument 0x, argument 0y. Object enemy 2, instead of that we're going to say it's argument 1. And then instead of hit, of course, everywhere is going to now be hit. Instead of hit 2, it's going to be hit. And then the bullet impact needs to be pulled in here. So it looks like we're doing some math here just based on what is passed in. So the type is being passed in here. That's basically argument 0.type. We'll handle that in a second. I'm going to make some notes on each of these items. Impact effect. This is going to be the bullet impact. And from here we can say argument 0.type is equal to shotgun, or argument 0.imageAlpha set is equal to false. Argument 0.imageAlpha set equals true. And we're talking about bullets here, whether the bullets are visible or invisible. The shotgun bullets are there, but they're invisible. So that's what that piece is controlling. Argument 0.type distance is equal to 4. So I've got a couple of different indicators here to help determine what is connecting with what bullet is connecting with which enemy. And the type distance is something that I came up with that's a simple solution for just determining what bullet it is that's shooting or colliding with a particular enemy. So we've got this one labeled as Vulcan cannon, long-range shotgun shells, mid-range, close-range shotgun shells. At some point I may just turn the shotgun on so that you can see it, make the bullets visible, but we don't need to do that at this instant. Let's just keep getting through this real quick. Argument 0.type distance, argument 0.bullet impact. The bullet impact may actually be able to be var instead of argument 0. Let's check what we have set in the mini blast bullet. Do we have bullet impact set here? No, it's not set here, so it can be a var. That's the action. I'm looking for the script. Let's re-click on it. So I'm going to say var bullet impact up here equals 0. And now we can just say bullet impact here, because that's not really a property of this object, bullet impact. It's rather a decision that's made in the script, and so we don't need to set it to a property. Okay, so hit, global hit impact is available. Bullet impact is here because we specified it. Hit.flashing should exist with the floating eyeball because we pulled it in basically. This will be argument 0. No, this piece right here will be, what was our argument for the X position? Argument 2. This will be argument 3. Final choice can stay right here. And then this guy can be argument 4, I believe. Yep, argument 4. This is just the priority of the sound. Do we want to set the sound to loop? The answer is no to all this. So I think that'll do it. Now, just to test this, we're going to have to move back over to level 1 while we're doing this testing. But of course, this will play in also to level 2. We're trying to work through this, get all this level 1 stuff tightened up. Get the scripts that level 1 is using tightened up so that it's way easier on level 2 to add additional items. Sometimes you just don't know what you're going to need to put into a script unless you spend a lot of time thinking, or you get to a certain point in your game and you're like, I need to consolidate some code. So let's keep going here. Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to change where the menu boots to. And I think that's under room controls. Press start. Level 1. Got a follow. Thanks, Alex AMFM. Okay, so that's going to the wrong spot. Thanks for the follow, Alex. And then, so now it's going to boot to level 1, which is what we're going to do. We're going to go hop in here one more time. See what we got. And going to update the follower goal. I think that puts us at 47. Okay, so I'm still waiting for the compile window here. Here we go.
Skycurser. Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Perfect. So that was the level 2 enemy. I mean the enemy that we just converted. This floating eyeball right here. I'm gonna fast forward to get to some more of those enemies. The bullet connecting with those enemies is what we just worked on. Alright. I should have just reset the game instead of hopping all the way out. But it works. We verified. The mini blast bullet was connecting with the floating eyeball, which is the thing that looks like the jellyfish, and there was no bugs. Everything worked properly. We for sure pulled everything out properly, and we commented out the code that we just converted over the script, so we know that it works. So this one is active. So the next thing that we're going to do, let's work on something a little bit more complicated, which is going to be EBP, the EBP enemy. Let me just look at the popcorn eyeball first. Flashing HP greater than 0, then create a blood spurt. I think that's exactly what we're doing in the weapon collision as well. If HP is greater than 0, are we doing that? Nope. So yeah, so we'll probably start modifying this script now that we're going to be it's going to get a little bit more complicated as we go. So I see one, I see another low-hanging fruit. The low-hanging fruit is the popcorn eyeball. So I'm going to take a minute here and modify the popcorn eyeball script, and it's going to have its own little pieces that we have to be aware of. this actually should never occur because it's the popcorn eyeball, but we're just going to add this in here anyway. The popcorn eyeball should never have a bullet impact and the hit points be greater than 0. So this really should never run, but this was a precaution. I think basically we were just going to test how many hit points this particular enemy had and see what felt right. So the way we got it now feels right, but let's go ahead and update this. So let's take this guy, go ahead and pass in another object, which will be object enemy 3, and we're doing the normal checks. X, Y position, are they connecting? Global.enemy3 dying is equal to false. I don't know that that is actually a variable that I use anymore. I think it was important initially when I was starting. Like, the popcorn eyeball was literally like the second enemy we built. I think I was testing how things were working with global and maybe even not fully understanding exactly how it was working. So I'm going to disregard adding this into the script, but I'm going to add everything else into the script. And if something doesn't look right when we add it in, we'll come back here and see why we need enemy 3 dying. But I think that's an old piece that is no longer needed. So the X position and Y position, do we need the X and Y position? Phil's going to be working on collecting a bunch of bass sounds for me to use to start building all the new sound effects. Tight. Love it. Guys, give me 1 second. I got to step away from my desk for just a second. I will literally be right back. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Appreciate that. All right, here we go. So in this case, we don't actually need this X and Y position, and we don't even need a sound effect. So this may be a little bit tricky. Actually, the X and Y position are right there. So we'll go ahead and pass in X and Y, because these represent where the impact effect is going to occur. And the final choice again is selected over there, but we're not going to pass in this guy right here. So I think what we need to do is similar to what we've done just a minute ago, what we did just a minute ago, and that is do some overloading of parameters. We did the overloading of parameters inside of the base enemy death script, but now we're going to do that inside of the script weapon collision. So let's modify, and this is kind of what you got to do when you're updating your scripts. Now we start modifying the script that we already created, kind of the base script, and you just start adding to it. The goal though is no duplication of code. That's really what the goal is. So do what you got to do to make that happen. So if argument count is greater than or equal to 1, I'm just going to say arg1 equals argument at the 0. I'm actually going to call it arg0. And say if argument count greater than or equal to 2. Right now we know for sure that we have we're most of the time going to pass in 2 arguments. Argument 1 equals argument 1. If argument, let's just do this for all 5 arguments that we're passing in right now. Get this guy. That's 3, 4, 5. So 3 here, 4 here, 5 here. And so since we're almost seeing some duplication of code here, yeah, we could potentially put this into a script as well. But maybe not, because this gets a little bit difficult when we're basically, yeah, let's just not update it for now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I missed a count here. 3, 4. Perfect. That's the fourth argument, which is actually 5 because it's a 0 index. So change these guys to arg2, 3, 4. And down here, we just simply update to the smaller version of this argument, argument 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. It's a pretty easy update all around. Arg1, Arg2, Arg3, and Arg4. So we got it. Alright, I'm going to do some spacing, make this a little bit more simple to read. Okay. Good, 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 good. Alright, we're in a good place. Now we've got the variables. We're basically overloading variables. And we could set arguments. We could set arguments if they, if we wanted to. We could set defaults. So technically, I'm not overloading right now, but they are optional. Yeah, because kind of the way overloading works is if the person doesn't pass an option in, then you are going to assign something, but I'm not necessarily doing that with this code right here. I'm basically just leaving them optional. Impact effect, and these are make optional arguments. And so I think we're good there. I think we got everything we need there. And the last thing I was going to do, we've got the blood impact in there, but the sound impact is not actually there. So what we can do here, I'm going to try this first. If let me look at the exact syntax for their undefined. I think it's just undefined. Here it is. Returns whether the given argument is undefined or not. And you could pass in an argument to is undefined. If not is undefined, argument 4. So if I read that differently, if argument 4 is not undefined, exclamation of course means not. Audio plays sound, argument 4. So let's try this. And I wouldn't be surprised if GameMaker throws up right here, because this is undefined. Doesn't really seem to work. Doesn't seem to play nicely with me. So let's go ahead and try this. If we did this correctly, well, let's check. I got one more thing to check before this loads, because I may need to make one more update still. So good. We have. Nope, we haven't commented out the popcorn eyeball. We need to do that. So this is going to load, and I'm going to exit out real quick. Okay, thumbs up that. Okay, let's try go back in, because I just made an update. Let me look at this one more time before I before I go in. Okay, cool. I've got enemy 3 and enemy 2 commented out. I've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 arguments. On this one I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 arguments. I don't need this argument. That's what I wanted to check. Okay, play.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Perfect. Alright, we have an error. So this is... Copy this, abort. Let's go see what the error is, guys. So this is kind of part of, troubleshooting and using a previously created script to make sure you pass everything through. Unable to find any instance for this object. It's undefined. Specifically had a problem with the weapon collision at line 34. So let's go look at line 34. This is the weapon attack script. Here's the weapon collision script, and 34 is right here. So it had a problem with the type, and I think I know what the problem is. Maybe not. Let's say var. I don't necessarily see a reason why that should have failed. Let's go look at how we passing it in. Self.id, that should be right. I mean, they were working fine separately. And I think we're still good there. Let me get this katana out of here for a minute. Weapon collision. I have a feeling we might have an issue with the way I have it written at the moment. Mainly related to how I'm declaring these arguments if the argument doesn't exist. So I'm just going to say 0. Go back here and look at this one more time. So it worked for a good minute when we tried both of them separately, but when that second, when that FEB came on screen with the popcorn eyeball, it ran into an issue, and I feel like based on the error that I see, it's having a problem with just this very first argument 0. I think I just may have to do this with everything. I definitely want to set this argument if it's not set for some reason. I can't think of a reason why it wouldn't be set, but just going to cover our bases here. Mini blast bullet. Argument 1 equals, it's the X position. We'll do else var arg2 equals 0, and else var arg3 equals, what's this one? I think I'm okay with it being 0. On argument 1. Let's do. Man, I'm just drawing blanks in my head how I should try to do this. So now we're doing overloading because we're setting a default if they don't have one set. I'm gonna say false there. And if I say and arg4, that should evaluate to true. So if I set it to false, that should fail and not go in there if the user doesn't set it. Let's see if this works or breaks.
Mission 1, Death at Dusk. Go!
Looks like the same bug. It says undefined. So somehow arg0 is undefined when it gets there. I'm gonna go with I don't agree. And instead of maybe passing in argument 0.id or self.id, let's just try passing in self, because I don't feel like I should be getting this error based on the way I have it.
Mission 1, Death at Dusk. Go!
Got it. Nailed it. Self. That's dumb. I've always passed in self.id before and it hasn't ever failed like that, so. Okay, here we go. So good. Got that done. Alright, next. Next one. I think we're good there. Got both of those working. And now let's try to get this object enemy 1 in there. So this one's a little bit unique. This one's got a Y position that we're looking for. It's got an X and a Y position and another X and Y position. and an entirely different impact. So it's not the default one of the choices. So let's try to construct this as best that we understand this lines up with the other one. Self, object, enemy 1, let's say same exact one as that one. Y, there's a sound explosion meet small for the default. Now the problem is, guys, that some of these get kind of extensive, and what I mean by that is, like if I scroll down here to the boss one, or even the tank one, or the Necrostar one, they're all like, they start getting really crazy. There's a lot of like scenarios that you have to account for, like the Necrostar, you know, like gonna handle it in any of these scenarios right here, right? So we're talking more and more and more parameters at that point, and it may be a good, basically it's an issue because GameMaker only allows you to pass in, I think, like up to 15 or 16 parameters on a script. So when they do something like that, you have to get a little bit more creative, and all that means you have to do is pass in basically an array, kind of like we had set up a little bit ago with some of our other scripts and objects. So I'm not going to turn it into a list, a data structure list yet, but I probably will here in just a moment. So we've got that X and Y position. We've got a Y position that we're looking for. Y, let's just pass in Y minus hit.Y. And we've got another X and Y position, plus 15, Y, and a new impact, object, explosion. We've actually got a new sound, so let's do the sound first, sound, impact, metal, just to kind of keep the order as consistent as the other one. Object explosion, and then bullet impact. And so we've got several new ones. We've got a new Y position, a new X and Y position. Even though it's the same Y value, this could be different depending on which enemy we're attacking. And then we've got a new sound for this position and a new impact for this position. So everything else looks the same. And so we're just going to take this over to the scripts, which is right here, and we're going to add in these new arguments. Argument 5 equals argument 5 equals sorry, I'm thinking on something else at the moment. This will be the Y position of impact effect transition. Let's say that a little differently so it doesn't look confusing if we're looking at Y position of transition for impact effect. The reason why I didn't want to put it the exact way that I had it was because it looked very similar to this one, and at a glance that could be very confusing. This will at least make them read a little bit more, myself or somebody else read a little bit more to make sure we're getting it correct. So X position of impact effect 2. And argument 7 equals Y position of impact effect 2. And then this one is the argument 8 equals sound of impact 2. Argument 9 equals impact effect for impact 2. Alright, so we got a lot of things going on here, and let's just go take a look real quick at what GameMaker's limitations are on scripts and parameters. So let's just see if we can see something related to scripts. Open up this one. Script here, using scripts. I want to see what the limitation is on parameters. And comments, name code blocks, script tabs. Here we go. Is it in here? That's cool. Oh man, I really like that. I think that's a new feature. This idea of the child scripts of a parent script. That's really good. But I'm still looking for the parameter. Argument. 16 arguments. There it is. 16 arguments. So I could pass up to 16 arguments into a script. And that's a problem for us because some of these we're probably going to have more than 16 arguments. So we're going to start thinking about, in just a second, we'll modify this so that this is working as well, but we're going to start thinking about passing these in as a data structure list, and maybe even something similar to a data structure list. Let's look at it. Data structures, which would probably be a map. And this would be more ideal for any of our scenarios. 1111 Can, thanks so much for the follow, man. Really appreciate it. Thanks for your support. So this would be more ideal potentially, mainly because we can add a key and a value. And if we add a key and a value, then we can add a lot of these things anywhere. And so instead of looking for like argument 1 or argument 2, 3, or 4 in a particular order, then we can be a little bit more lax with our orders. And that would be very helpful to us. But for now, let's just create what we got. 5, so we got to go to 9, I think. Or let's see, argument 4 here, and we go up to 9, so we're on 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So start at 6, and this is 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Got all that going. I think I messed up a little bit. I was updating the else statements. No worries there. So 4, 4, just going to town here on this one variable. 5, 5. Bad click. 6, 6, and we're at 4, 3, 5, 4, 6, 5, 7, 6. Let's update these one at a time. 8, 9, and 10. Yeah, because we have 10 arguments. Argument 9 represents 10 again because of the index 0. So this is actually our 10th argument, and we have ours labeled similar to GameMaker with the 0 index, but that limitation that we have, 16, and we're going to hit that pretty quick. And I'm not going to keep going until I hit it. The next time I make a script where there's something unique, we'll convert everything over to a data map. 765, cool. And then now we just got to update these arguments. And I can already think of another way to make this a little bit more efficient with the way I've got it written, but if we're going to modify some of this, I may just leave it alone for a minute. For instance, I would take each one of these else statements, since it's basically setting a value if something wasn't already set, and I would put everything in the else statements up here and have a default, and then overwrite the default with a parameter that's passed in. So all right, so these all represent 4 represents the sound, Y position of the transition effect. So if it doesn't exist, set it to false. I'm going to do this right now. Sorry, just gotta make sure, since the point of this whole stream is to make this efficient anyways, we're just gonna kind of go through some iterations of making this more efficient. 304 is false. Okay, let's take this else, bring it up here. Just remove, because we've already set a default up above, and we're overwriting it if the parameter exists. All right. So argument 5 is the sound. Let's see, is the Y position. Var argument 5 equals false. Var argument 6, I'm just going to set everything else to false. 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9. And we go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Okay, now we've got that about as efficient as it can be. The other thing we wanted to do here was check and see if the Y position has been provided of the transition effect. And we will do that right here. If Y position, in other words, if Y position evaluates to false here, which is our default anyway, then it will just skip this part. But if Y position and Y position is less than or equal to 0, I think that's how it is over here. Yeah, less than or equal to 0. Because we're passing in that whole value right there. That whole value. Less than or equal to 0. Then do whatever we're going to do there. Else. Oops. And we're only going to do an instance destroy, and we can write this safely without worrying about anything breaking on anything else. If hit.hp is less than or equal to 0, then go ahead and destroy it. And we'll actually say, no, I actually said that incorrectly. Sorry about that. So we're going to leave that alone, mainly because this is referring to the bullet. And so we'll say with argument 0, and I'll make that my argument 0. arg0 with argument 0 instance destroy, because it's going to be the mini blast bullet no matter what. We'll eventually pass in some other kinds of bullets in here too. So we've got this where we want it. 2, 3, final choice, Y position, and let's just go ahead and put this in parentheses just to force it, which I know it will work anyway, but so we can look at it and it makes sense really quickly. Let's just see here, Y position of the transition effect. So argument 6 and 7, sound and impact. So we're just going to go like this. Argument 6, 7, I'm pretty sure this is 9, and the other thing is 8. So back to the sound, if we passed in the sound, it would be 8. Okay, let's verify that. Sound is 8, yep. Argument is impact, argument 9 is impact. So X position, Y position, impact. Y position is incorrect right here. It needs to be argument 5. Arg 5. So I mean it is the Y position, but it needs to be argument 5 because that's how I passed it in. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Otherwise, if it's not less than or equal to 0, then hop into here and do the normal. And with argument 0, instance destroy. And then if the hit, which in any of these cases is the object that we're checking, if its hit points drops less than 0, we handle that in a completely different script. It's kind of like we keep that script together over where it makes sense to with that object, with a script related to that object. So like that, I'm going to hit play, see if this works. Oh, I'm going to have one bug. So the bug I'm going to have is I did not comment out that particular enemy. Just pull these all the way up to the top. And let's try that one more time. Okay, here we go. See if we got any bugs.
Skycurser. Mission 1. Death at dusk.
Bug. Okay. This happens. Let's see what it is. Variable get. It's having a problem with line 23 on particularly the step event of the mini blast bullet. So we're calling. What's it having a problem with? It's having a problem with .hit. So this guy right here, hit.y. So that makes sense. Hit.y does not exist at all. So we're just going to end up passing in I'm debating the Y value here. This will be the transitional piece, and that'll work for now. And right here we'll check for it if it exists, and then say hit dot arg5, we'll say arg5 minus hit dot arg5 less than or equal to 0. So it's okay for it to be a y value there. Let's see if this works.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
So far, so good. Now, the last thing that we'll check here is to make sure when the eyeball planes come out that we can connect with in both locations. Looks like we got a bug. Copy, port. Okay, not to worry. The problem that we have. So it failed right on this line right here. Variable get arg5. We're saying it's having a problem again on line 23. Oh, sorry. It was called from line 23. And it's having a problem on line 85 right here. So I may end up just having to do this value and decrement everything else. So we'll say 9 there and take this guy down to 9. We'll say for this guy, we'll say hit dot. We don't need to do a check here to see if that exists, but we can now say hit dot y minus, or sorry, this is actually supposed to be the bullets y position, arg0 dot y minus hit dot arg5, and we're just going to say hit dot y. And I can remove these extra parentheses now. Bullets y position minus the hits y position less than or equal to 0, and now everything is decremented one number: 5, 6, 8, 7, 7, 7, and yeah. Let's make sure we have all those just set to generic. Yep, we're good. Let's play.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
We got a bug. So the instance was creating, the bug was creating another instance of Skycurser. This should be an X position. Now, okay, so let's update what we have here. X position of the impact effect. That bug was funny. 0 through 8. Yeah, that was definitely weird. X position of the impact effect. 2, Y position. Sound of impact 2, impact effect for 2. So let me make sure this is correct on 8. Impact effect, yep. And let me make sure I'm passing in the correct value over here. Looks like it. The explosion bullet impact looks correct. Go back over here. So I think I know what that bug was about. Object get name argument 1 is equal to object enemy 1 and make sure I got that name correct on object enemy 1. Object enemy 1. Okay, perfect. So, if the name of argument 1 is equal to object enemy 1, then instance create, we'll do a check here to make sure argument 8 exists. If argument 8 no, we don't need to check and make sure it exists. We'll say if argument 8, because it should evaluate to false if it was not passed in. So that should basically say, oh, I can't create this new instance. What I saw happen and why I'm fixing this, because I saw an instance get created that should not have gotten created, and I feel like it probably just defaulted to object Skycurser on this instance whenever it was false. So, just trying to fix that. Okay. If our no final choice exists for sure. No need to do a check there. Argate evaluates to false, so it should pass there with no problems. Let's try again.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Okay, that's fine. It's good to get these bugs because when we fix them, basically everything is working. So, had a problem with the background layer. That was weird. That's not really a bug that we should have gotten, I don't think. Let's go look at that real quick. I've never seen that bug. Object controller. Background, I think that's level 1. Yep. Step event. Line 651. Yeah, I mean, it definitely shouldn't have errored out there. Yeah, because it acted like it was in meat mode for a second. And it's definitely not in meat mode. Variable get background layer. Huh. Let's try again. The other thing that I would have to do here is make sure that the global.mode got set. That would be the only reason why something like that would have happened. How we got into there should have really never occurred. So let's see if it was just a transient error or just a new level 2 bug that caused a bug in level 1.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Okay, different bug. Line 14, script enemy die. Variable get my argument 2. So it looked for my argument 2, but my argument 2 doesn't exist. So we got to go fix that real quick. Object, base enemies. I think that's in the script for the base enemy. Yep. Or the death. Alright, so here's the piece where we need to set some defaults, and I didn't do this a second ago, and I'm going to change these to arg0. Arg0 equals 0. Var arg1 equals false. And we'll just put this to arg1. Sorry, arg0. Keep our indexes the same. arg1. So arg0, 0, and this guy changes to arg1. Okay, shouldn't run into that problem again. 0 and false. If arg0, let's just wrap the whole thing in an if statement. Play. Yeah, Cadrius, the small eye basically looks like a sperm. We've talked about that before. It is what it is, man, you know. It's an eye that's growing into a larger eye.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Had this problem with the background again. Never seen this bug before. It feels like the global.mode is changing based on that, because this is inside of meat mode and we should never be in meat mode for story mode. So somewhere in here global.mode is getting set. So let's check. Yeah, that's intentional, Cadrius. Object Skycurser pointer. Object enemy 3 cursor. Skycurser pointer. So Skycurser pointer ended up going away. Man, where did Skycurser pointer even go? Specials, not there. Object, Skycurser pointer. This guy doesn't even really exist anymore. I'm going to comment this code out because I don't think this should be affecting it, but something weird is happening, so save. And then go back to our code. Enemy 3 cursor. This should be the way it is. Now this is in the step event of the enemy 3 cursor. And that guy should definitely no longer exist or be pulled in anywhere else. I'm going to keep searching here. Script reset game, yeah. What's in script reset room? I think that's the recent script we just created, but let's verify that we didn't put anything in there to set the mode. Come on, where you at? No global dot mode in there. That's good. I'm going to take these guys out of the controller area, drop them in here. Makes more sense to me. Every time I see them, I get confused a little bit. So the base controller calls reset room. Does base controller calls reset game, sorry. And there's a potential for script set level vars to be called at any point, mainly I think on create, but let's just verify that is not doing anything malicious to us. Nope, no mode set there. So we're good there. Let's go to the step. I don't see the mode getting set here. That's good. I don't see any scripts that could be called. Skycurser gen controller. Let me go look at that one. Okay, I'm going to leave that alone for now. Do one more search for this. Reset game, which is right, enemy 3 cursor pointer. And the other thing that I have to do, basically, it may just be airing out because it can't find background layer, even though it should never get into there. So let's go see if let's go see if background layer is set inside of the background controller. In the create event. So background layer is set if we're in meat mode. Man, this is a new bug that I haven't seen before, and I haven't updated GameMaker recently. And I don't think it, I mean, feels like it's got to be somewhat related to what I just changed, but I don't think I really did anything to change that effect. So I might try to troubleshoot here one more time. I might go back in the game here in a second. Just looking at the script one more time. If argument 8, let's go. There with that. And let's try this one more time.
Okay, kiddo, I'm here to captain this ship right to the sea of success. Let's talk about next steps.
Okay, great. I had a friend who's an artist who drew up some sketches for the Chili's logo.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Different bug. That's a good thing. Base enemy step. Oh, I think I know what's happening. I think I know what's happening. That enemy is inheriting from the base enemy, and we never came back and updated that. Because right now it doesn't need to inherit from the base enemy. Especially if its code is in the step event, which it is. So, this should fix it. We were consolidating all of our code into the object base enemy. And some of that makes sense, but some of it doesn't. So I haven't gotten a chance to like literally sit down and, you know, what I'm doing right now with the weapon script, I should also do with the base enemy script.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Having a bug here. So we have multiple Skycursers on screen. I'm not really sure why. Let's look at the create event here. So let's take this away as well. Let's see if the other enemies are doing that right now. Yep, they are. Got another follow. Thank you, Beatles Roll 456. Thank you for the follow. Really appreciate it. Yeah. So that seems to be happening whenever I hit the katana blade against the eyeball attack. That's what I seem to remember as I'm like playing it back in my head. I think that's what happened. I'm not worried about that right now. I want to get this other piece fixed, and then we'll fix the katana blade. So I'm going to try to attack that thing without using the katana blade to hit the ghost eyeball missile back.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Well, sprite chosen, enemy 1, create event. So it's got a problem with sprite chosen. Did I remove the event inherited? Yes, I did. Didn't mean to do that. I mean, I did mean to do it initially, but then after thinking about it, I think I'm okay with the create event occurring, but not the step event occurring in place of the way it was.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Nope, it occurred. For sure occurred when I was just hitting him. And the metal sound is not occurring as I would like it to. So it is because of the, right now what I'm seeing is it is because of the bullet. And it's basically running this, and it's having a problem with argument 8. So I think what I'll do is say if looking for weapons, mini blast bullet, and I'll be winding it up here soon, guys. Winding it down, trying to finish this bug, and then I'll call it a night. So we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I see a partial problem here. I was just going to remove that guy altogether, and I still had him there. I'm just going to go ahead and test it, see if that fixed it, because it's very possible that it did. Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, this should fix some unexpected behavior.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Okay, so it did fix some unexpected behavior. I had one issue with the sound. The sound impact metal is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's verify that's what should be happening. Oh, let's look at that one more time. And the metal should be happening on this one. So I think I have it backwards. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have it backwards. Alright, back to the weapon collision. And I thought I'd fix this. Oh, there it is. Okay, so that is right in there in place. So I think actually I passed them in the incorrect order. I don't think I want to remove this and put this up here. I think I want to switch the order that I passed them into. So 2, 3, and 4 should come in, and 5, 6, and 7 should switch places. 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, and 7 should switch places. Okay, let's try that.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Okay, last thing, I see the impacts are switched. Yeah, just making sure I pulled it from the correct place. Okay, and I think that'll do it. So the default is basically 3, 4, 5, and this is 3, 4, 5, and the other one's 6, 7, and 8, 6, 7, 8.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Did not change it the way I thought I... Man, I must have not replaced these like I thought I did. Because this should do it. 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4. My count is off somewhere. Yeah, this is... yeah, that's right. 2, 3, 4, because that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this would be 5, 6, 7. And we're looking at 5, 6, 7. Oh, okay, I see what's going on. I'm mixing these two right here. Is this the second one? Final choice goes there. This is a little bit backward. Alright. So final choice should only go here if Game Maker, you're killing me with the freaking tabs. If object get name arg1 is equal to object enemy1